Hey guys, Valtori's the Awoken here. So, today we have ourselves a little bit of a discussion video on the whole God system in Dragon Ball Super. So, when we've been first introduced to the whole God system, where, Beerus came along and was like, Super Saiyan God and stuff, and that's when they had made the wish and stuff, and everything became to be. Now, I know that there was a couple of people from the old community, and I guess you can say the new community of Dragon Ball, where the whole God, Super Saiyan God, first it was I guess a good thing at first, and then later on I guess it kind of felt dragged out, and then it was like a lot of nostalgia, and it didn't have that raw intensity on how Dragon Ball Z was, and definitely how Dragon Ball was. But when Super came along, it felt like it was watered down, and it didn't really get to the dark and gritty stuff into, you can kind of say, I guess, the Goku Black stuff, and that was pretty much it. And it kind of maybe lost the fact that, well, Super Saiyan was a really big thing back in Dragon Ball Z, but then you just kind of came along and just said, well, now we have God now, and then you have Ultra Instinct, which is technically the most broken technique possible, because all the gods of destructions became, because they was all trained by their angels and stuff, but they've never was able to master Ultra Instinct until Goku have, and he's the only one that, well, he hasn't mastered it, but he was able to tap into it, and here's the thing about this. Now, I'm gonna leave this up to some of you guys in the comment section below. Do you think that when Dragon Ball Super, when it first came out, do you think that this should have been a God system? Do you think this should have just been first it was red, then it was blue, or do you think they should have just left it where it's Ultra Instinct? Because frankly, when you see some of those Dragon Ball fan mangas now, there was one in particular where it was basically it was Vegito, they basically they fused, and they was never able to defuse, but they was able to fight Beerus, and they was able to kind of hold their own against Beerus, and they was able to beat Beerus and stuff. And I don't know, I kind of liked that fan manga, because it was interesting, because it's Super Saiyan, so I understand God is on a different type of level, but when you think about it, when they kind of had Super Saiyan and not in Super, but in Dragon Ball Z, it was fine. It was great. It was fine. Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3 was fine. But then when Super comes along and they gave us God, personally, I liked it, God, but later on it was Ultra Instinct, right? So I was okay, it still was kind of a great narrative, because you was flushing out a potential story. Okay, yeah, they able to have the power to tap into, which is, it can rival the gods and stuff, which I don't see it being a bad thing, but I understand how some other people can feel, where it's oh, what just what happened, you just buried Super Saiyan, you just buried him. It was just oh, this is just a useless transformation, because when you see the Super, Vegeta and Goku, they didn't really go into Super Saiyan, not as much, but it was always either blue and that was it. Sometimes red for Goku, but it was always blue. So, it kind of just said that, well, Super Saiyan is garbage and stuff. But what if they would have just said, okay, I guess maybe when Beerus would have showed up or whatever, right? And they, this whole Super Saiyan God thing would have been a thing. And it would have been just Super Saiyan. So when they would have made the wish, obviously, Purunga probably would have said, oh, there is no Super Saiyan God. Beerus never would even have had the dream of a Super Saiyan God. Only thing that would have been on his mind was that Goku defeated Frieza, and he's now he know that Frieza, the things that happened between them, and how Frieza was a very powerful person back in his days and stuff. But for Goku to defeat him, it's he's curious. So obviously it would have had it where maybe Beerus would have went up against Goku for a minute, see what's going on with planet Earth, seeing what Vegeta's doing, and then maybe when they would have fought, Beerus probably would have beaten Goku, but maybe at that time when Beerus was probably about to maybe destroy Goku or whatever, maybe he was somehow able to tap into maybe Ultra Instinct or something, something that would have caught Beerus off guard and would have been like, wait a minute, he's doing something. Like, he's about to die, but you would think that maybe Goku was probably either like closing his eyes, like about to give in to death, but he just taps into this power that he never tapped into before, and he's like, what is this? And he's just doing stuff. Like he's able to like do the stuff that he was doing in the tournament against Beerus, and Beerus is shocked as shit because he's like, hold up, like this is Ultra Instinct. But he's a little bit pissed off, but he kind of can understand it, and then he doesn't know it himself. So I would have said that maybe in Super it should have never been God, but it should have just like been Ultra Instinct, like the technique, because Whis was teaching them to Whis was teaching both Goku and Vegeta the longest on how to tap into Ultra Instinct. So it kind of does beg the question, like, is God really necessary? You know, is it really necessary if you have a very overpowered technique that the angels, or what he's been saying, that they've been using and stuff, that yeah, like this is Ultra Instinct, like you're supposed to be, you know, tapping into this because it would bring you on to new heights. Because if you truly think about it, like if they would have been tapping into Ultra Instinct from the beginning, like the hit stuff would have been easy. Jiren would have been, everybody in the tournament, it would have been so easy because it's Ultra Instinct. And then it would have been like able to tap into it for like a little bit, but not fully able to master it. I think that probably would have been it. Like it would have been easy to go into, but not able for them to, like, you know, master and stuff. You know, I think it probably would have been like that if they never would have went down the whole God narrative and stuff. Because okay, we're gonna say Vegeta, obviously he you know, he doesn't know how to transform into like Super Saiyan 3 like Goku can. Okay, that's understandable. And Goku basically have all the transformations and stuff. You know, and it's fair because it's Goku. But Goku has like a lot of advantages over Vegeta because, you know, he has Kaioken, you know. So I would have said, see, and this is another thing that was kind of like, it wasn't pushed to the side, but you had it where he was still he used that Kaioken and God when he was fighting up against Hit, and then he used it again in the tournament, and I believe he used it again against Goku Black. So once again, it was kind of like pushed to the side, and you would kind of think that maybe if this God stuff didn't happen, Goku probably would have used Kaioken and maybe Super Saiyan to go up against Beerus and stuff if they wanted to still stick to the Super Saiyan narrative, instead of just saying, oh, you know, we just gonna bury Super Saiyan and we just gonna have God and stuff. Because I know a lot of people probably was like, it was cool at first, but then it just, I guess maybe sucked a little bit later. It's like, oh, another transformation that doesn't make any sense. Oh, it's blue now. What's next? Gonna be Super Saiyan white, Super Saiyan green, you know, what's going on here and stuff. So it's kind of an understandable way for people to like feel about the whole situation. And like I said in previous other videos as well, like, you know, the whole Uzaru transformation, like when we seen them the Broly movie, where even when he was in that form, he still was able to wreck like, you know, Vegeta and stuff, and the whole God thing. Like he still was doing work. So it also would beg the question too, like if they would have mastered that as well, like how powerful that would be. You know, it's just a lot of things that they kind of messed up on. I guess you could probably say like they didn't stick to the roots. That's what I'm going with in this video. Like they didn't really stick to the roots of sticking with Super Saiyan and maybe tapping into Mr. Uzaru form. You know, it's just a lot of things that they kind of missed out and stuff. That's why in the manga with Moro and everything that's going on with him, you know, he kind of like taking away their power. So we don't know if it's permanent or it's just for a little while. But if it is permanent, now I would say it probably might be like a 50-50 with the fans. Like, will they like it that it's permanent, or will they be like, nah, bring it back, we miss Super Saiyan and stuff, because we miss Super Saiyan God, because it's like, it's a I guess it's a way for them to maybe learn how to tap into Ultra Instinct. But I don't know. But like I'm saying, like they had ways to use like Super Saiyan and figure a way of like learning how to tap into Uzaru, and also learning how to use Ultra Instinct if the whole God thing never was brought up, and it was just Beerus was curious about Goku and the rest of the Saiyans that was on Earth. That's how it probably would have led out to be. But instead of him having the dream, he's like, oh, I had a dream I was fighting against the Super Saiyan God. So it just led to a whole big catastrophe where people was just saying like, yo, this show is a lot of nostalgia pops. It didn't feel as dark and gritty as Dragon Ball Z and stuff. It just kind of fell off, because I can tell you this, like throughout the Dragon Ball Z series, there was like a lot of stuff that I loved. Freak that, it was everything. I can't even tell you like one or two things. It was everything, because going from Raditz, Majin Vegeta, Frieza, Piccolo, no, not Piccolo, Cell, Majin Buu, Kid Buu, you know, all of that was brought in and stuff, and how they finished it off with the whole Kid Buu stuff, where Vegeta finally saw Goku. Like, he finally saw him. He was like, yeah, like they kind of made up, because he was like, this is the type of person that you are. And then he said Kakarot, but then he switched it and he said Goku. So it was like they finally was able to mend bonds and stuff, where Vegeta got that whole hatred out of him and stuff, and he was like, you know, it's out of him now. So he's like, I see you as a rival more than a person that I can't stand. You know, even though when Vegeta and Goku, when they have their little rivalry, it's just rivalry. It's just between them. It's not like he has that hatred anymore, because he been got that out of his system and stuff. So, you know, all of that was beautiful. But I guess when Super came along, it just felt a little bit off. You know, it felt a little bit off. And I guess some people wasn't feeling it as much. Like, you still have a large majority of people who still love it, but it's just that they didn't stick to the roots. They didn't stick to the roots. Now, whenever we do get another Dragon Ball Super movie, and hope that God, they're gonna explain the origin stories about Yamoshi, then yeah, we will finally, maybe they can stick to the roots. But since they've already mentioned that he was able to tap into God, so I don't know. But once again, it's just the roots that gets people going, because it's like, yeah, it's Super Saiyan and it's Uzaru, you know, all this stuff. But when you just cut it out and just say, oh, it's meaningless, so we got Super Saiyan God, you know, it's not what it's supposed to be. Now Ultra Instinct, I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't, because the whole main focus of it was for them to learn Ultra Instinct. Like, sure, it was for them to master and understand the Code God Key thing, but Whis was teaching them Ultra Instinct from the beginning. So, you know, I think that should have been more of the main focus than trying to learn God form. But like I said, it's, you know, it's a 50-50 thing with the community and stuff. But yeah. If you like what you heard, you like, you know, please subscribe, share, do all that wonderful stuff, and I'll catch you later.